Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back to All Chiefed Up. I am Steve, and I'm here with Mike, and today we're just going to be playing a little round of Who'd You Rather. Only this time around, I'm going to be giving Mike the propositions and seeing how his brain thinks when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I'm nervous.
So, you better be. It's going to be some good ones.
Let's get down to business here, Steve.
Let's get this going. All right, so first up, who would you rather? Offensive tackle, Orlando Brown Jr., or would you rather have Rashaad Slater from the LA Chargers?
God. Here we go.
Hey, a good one right off the bat. Most people's just going to say Rashaad Slater.
My God.
Yeah.
Not even a warm-up. Rashaad Slater, he's younger, I think.
A little bit.
What he was only it's like 2 years in.
Brown's younger than you think he is. Brown's younger than you think he is. Yeah.
Hey man. I honestly think at this point, if we had to drop him in this season, I'm taking Orlando Brown. I think 1 year under his belt, he did not perform as bad as Chief Kingdom likes to act like he did. Like everybody's so down on Antonio Brown or Orlando Brown, not Antonio Brown, whoever that is. And yeah, they're just so down on Orlando Brown. I don't understand it. Like, he wasn't that bad. And I keep trying to tell people, Veach has to get a deal done now. If Orlando Brown signs that, comes back, and has a great season, what are you going to pay him next year?
Exactly.
And Orlando Brown makes good points. Like, you don't want a rookie to come in and have to guard Patrick Mahomes back this year. So not Orlando Brown.
The AFC West loaded up on edge rushers for that specific reason.
So that's not Orlando Brown being a jerk. That's Orlando Brown just speaking some truth. And I think even Veach knows it, and I believe a deal gets done. And I think I take Orlando Brown, honestly.
All right, I'm going to throw out 2 stat lines and PFF grade, and then I want you to match them to the player.
God, okay.
All right, so first up, 1,127 snaps. He had 7 penalties, and he allowed 4 sacks in 2021 with a PFF grade of 75.4. Second stat line, 1,116 snaps, 6 penalties, and also 4 sacks allowed in 2021. This one had a PFF grade of 83.6. So, who would you match up to which stat line?
I think Orlando Brown missed some time last year. Did he miss a game or two?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he missed anything.
For some reason, I was thinking there was a game where he was warming up, and then before the game, he scratched at the last second.
You might be right. I remember something like that.
So if I had to do that, I would say maybe Orlando Brown is the lower snap count. So that's what I'm going to roll with. I'm going to say Orlando Brown is the 6 penalties, 83.6 PFF.
All right. You are incorrect.
Wow.
So the 83.6 PFF grade belonged to Rashaad Slater. He actually had 11 less snaps than Orlando Brown. You got me on Antonio Brown now. But he had 11 less snaps than Orlando Brown. But if you think about it, even if Orlando missed a game, which you think he might have, the Chiefs went a lot further than the Chargers did. So if they're counting playoffs here, that could be why. But yeah, so they actually had Slater at 83.6 PFF grade to Orlando Brown Jr. 75.4. They both let up 4 sacks. Brown had 7 penalties. Rashaad Slater had 6. Now that you know the stats and you know the PFF grade, does that change your mind at all? You sticking with Orlando Brown?
Well, okay, he played 9 less snaps or 9 more snaps. I don't know. 9 snaps. He has 1 extra penalty, same amount of sacks. I don't understand what the PFF grade is here for linemen. I don't know if that's pressures. I don't know what that is. Missed assignments, how well you finish. I have no idea how they get their grades. I don't see how you could have such similar stats with penalties and sacks and be almost 10 points apart on the PFF grade.
Yeah, 8.2 points higher.
I think I'd go ahead and stick with Orlando Brown. I think he struggled a lot basically because, A, he's not a left tackle, and this was kind of his first full season as a left tackle, right? Yep. If he didn't do it in Baltimore, I don't think he played it full time. So this was his first full time. He's learning something new. And let's be completely honest, there was a lot of times Patrick Mahomes ran himself into bad situations and ran himself into sacks that maybe his offensive line didn't even create. Like there was a lot of times he got a little foot happy back there, you know. There was plenty of times I was like, Mahomes, would you chill, bro? The pocket looks fine.
He was
And
seeing
here he is
ghosts,
like,
man.
yeah, he started doing that a lot last season, and I don't know what that was about, but I'm sticking with Orlando Brown, man.
Yeah,
Call it homerism, but I'm taking him.
no, I think I would too. I know a lot of people's probably like screaming at the TV right now, saying, "Why in the world would you not take Rashawn Slater?" I think I'm
Hey,
sticking with
if you
Orlando
don't
Brown.
like it, if you don't like it, just make your own video and I'll watch it and
Yeah,
I'll tell you that you're wrong.
either that
Like
or
you guys do us.
go buy you a Chargers jersey and get out of here. No.
Come on, Rashawn
All
Slater
right, let's
sucks.
let's move on. Let's move on. All right, second scenario here: Ronald Jones Jr., running back from the KC Chiefs, or would you rather have Rashaad Penny, running back from Seattle?
Hmm, that's a good one. You know, Jones, he's fast. He's fast. I think he's faster than Rashaad Penny. Penny seems to always like be that guy that everybody's like he's gonna break out, and then he don't. Like, but he did have a pretty good year last year, I think. So um I think I'm gonna go ahead and stick with Ronald Jones, to be honest. I don't know what he looks like in our offense yet, but I think he catches the ball in the backfield well enough, and I think he's fast. I think he could be good in this offense. I think Penny, I don't trust Penny. And at
All
least
right,
Ronald Jones had some meaningful snaps with the Bucks.
all right, cool. So I'm gonna read you two stat lines again, and then you try to put them together. All right, stat
Dude,
line
you
number
just love making me look bad
I
here.
do. Stat line number one: 119 carries for 749 yards and 6 touchdowns. He averaged 6.3 yards per carry, which was first in the NFL last season, and he had a PFF grade of 80.5. All right, the second stat line: 101 carries for 428 yards and 4 touchdowns, averaging 4.2 yards per carry with a PFF grade of 62.3. See if you can match those up.
Those are like drastic differences there.
Very drastic.
So let me just preface this by saying I don't watch the Seahawks and I don't watch the Bucks. I hate them both. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Ronald Jones had the less carries. I'm going to give Ronald Jones the PFS 62.3 because I think Penny got to start a few games last year. So I'm going to say Penny had the better season last year because I thought he'd come on a little bit.
You are correct. Rashaad Penny. Actually, it was surprising to
Finally.
me. It was surprising to me that his stats were that much better than Rojo's. And I didn't know that he had the highest yards per carry in the NFL last year. So, I mean,
Well, Seattle had a lot of injury. Penny had to step in, and Rojo still has to fight for carries there with Leonard Fournette. So I knew that
right.
was probably going to be the difference.
Yeah. I mean, Tampa Bay seemed to think that, Rojo couldn't do the receiving kind of job out of the backfield and he kept putting the ball on the ground. So that's why they ultimately just moved on from him. So hopefully that'll improve here at KC. So, all right. So I think if you would have asked me that without me knowing any of the stats from last season or anything like that, I might have stuck with Rojo as well. But after I see the stats and everything, I would take Rashaad Penny. What about you?
Um, I would, I don't know. Like I say, Penny, he kind of had a good year last year. I mean, it was okay. He still only had 2 more touchdowns. He only averaged 2 more yards on the ground, but I mean, he
Yeah,
got a
but
lot more
he didn't
opportunities.
even have a good of an offensive line as Rojo because
That's true. But Rojo also, you're playing behind so many people. He can't get in a rhythm.
yeah,
I don't
true.
know. I'm
All
sticking with
right.
Rojo.
Okay, cool.
I'll stick with Rojo.
Let's move on to scenario number three. This one's a good one because it is a current Chiefs player against an ex-Chiefs player, and this is kind of cool. So, uh,
Gotcha.
defensive tackle Derrick Nnadi of the Kansas City Chiefs, or Raheem Nunez Roches, or as we knew him as Nacho, the defensive tackle who is with Tampa Bay at the moment. So a couple of Tampa Bay players popped up. Well, kind of, sort of. But either way, Derrick Nnadi, you going to take him over Nacho, or would you rather have Nacho back and get rid of Derrick Nnadi?
I feel like they're similar. Nadi's just kind of underperformed. He's almost just been like that run stuffer kind of guy, which I mean, if that's what we drafted him for, cool, but he's never really got a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I remember Nacho sacked the QB a few times. I had some good memories of him. I'm gonna go ahead and take Nunez Roches first,
All right, cool.
first glance here.
So me, if someone just asked me that question, I'd say give me Nacho back.
Yeah,
I
right.
want Nunez Roches. All right, I'm going to read you the two stat lines here, and you match them up for me. So the first one, I got 26 tackles, 11 assists, 4 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, and a PFF grade of 52.8. And then the second stat line is 9 tackles, 10 assists, 0 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and a PFF grade of 64.1. So which player do you think matches up to which stat line there, Mike?
Was that just a stat line for last season?
Yeah, 2021.
I do not remember Derrick Nnadi having four sacks last year. I could be completely wrong. Maybe I was halfway zoned out. I just can't believe Derrick Nnadi had 4 sacks. If he did, I'm just missing something.
Don't be
I'm gonna
Googling.
say Nunez. I'm gonna say Nunez. My hands are here. I'm gonna say Nunez Roches. Nunez Roches had the 52.8 PFF grade to Nnadi 64.1, and he had the 4 sacks.
All right. And you are incorrect. Derrick Nnadi had 4 sacks last year in the lower PFF grade. So even
Where
though
was I?
I don't know, but even though he had several more tackles and 4 sacks to Nacho's 0, um, he still had a 7 point lower PFF score. So, or grade. So that's kind of strange.
I mean, honestly, I guess you just stick with Nnadi at this point then.
Yeah.
But I'm
So
really
you
curious.
you
I'd
revert.
love to know. Yeah, I'll go ahead and stick with Nnadi, but I would love to see what those 4 sacks were. Like, I swear I don't remember him having but maybe one.
Honestly, I don't remember it either. So speaking of sacks, let's move on to number 4, where we're going to do an edge rusher. All right, Mike Dana, edge rusher for the Chiefs, or Montez Sweat from the Washington Commanders.
Gotcha. Dana is what Dana is. That's just, I mean, I don't think he's ever getting better. I don't think he's going to get worse, but he is what he is. I think I'd take Montez Sweat here. I know he was on the trading block for a little while. He might still be, actually.
All right, so here come the stat lines. Stat line number 1, 15 tackles, 5 assists, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a PFF grade of 75.6. Stat line number 2, 15 tackles, 6 assists, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a 61.7 PFF grade. So the stat lines from 2021 are strikingly similar. Both had 15 tackles, both had 2 forced fumbles. One had one more tackle assist than the other one, and then one had 3 sacks, one had 5 sacks. So which one do you think had the higher PFF grade of 75.6, Mike?
Mike Dana. I think Mike Dana had the higher one. I think Mike Dana had 5 sacks this year. I'm almost positive. So that's going to be him, which is very surprising that Montez Sweat has that few of sacks. If I'm correct, I don't know. Did he miss games? Is he just taking the double team all day? I have no idea. Am I correct?
You are incorrect, sir. Montez Sweat actually had the 75.6 PFF grade with 5 sacks. Mike Dana, 61.7 with 3.
Sacks.
Yeah. So, I mean,
okay,
like
that's
I
right.
said, super similar stat lines. The only difference was two sacks. You know, that was a difference. But obviously, the PFF grade's quite a bit different. They're almost 14 apart on that. So,
yeah, I'd love to see how many snaps they both took because I don't think Dana would take as many snaps as him, to be honest.
Probably not. That'd be
and for the money. For the money, Dana is also a lot cheaper. But I mean, I feel like Sweat, you know, he's probably getting double teamed there.
Well,
so
Montez Sweat's one of those guys that he's got to come out and prove himself this year. He's not showed what people thought he could be yet. So he's still got something to prove. So I think I would take Montez Sweat over Mike Dana, not by like a huge margin, but I think I would have done the same thing as you. I think I would took him. And then after looking at the stats, I think I would still stick with Sweat over Dana. But like I said, by the thinnest of thinnest margins.
I think I stick with Sweat too. It's close. But like I said, with Sweat, I believe there's more upside than Dana.
Right. So just to recap, Orlando Brown Jr., you kept him over Rashawn Slater. Rojo, you kept him over Rashaad Penny. Derrick Nnadi, you actually said that you would take Raheem Nunez Roches over Derrick Nnadi, but you retracted after you heard the stat lines and said you would stick with Derrick Nnadi. And then Mike Dana or Montez Sweat, you picked Montez Sweat and stuck with it after the stat line. So speaking of those edge rushers like Mike Dana and Montez Sweat, we got a predicament going on in Kansas City now that we lost Melvin Ingram, and we've talked about it before in this video that's going to be like right here. So you need to click that one and you can watch it and see what our solution is to the edge rusher problem in Kansas City. All right, guys, but thanks for joining us today. It's always cool to play Who'd You Rather. Mike, I think you did a pretty good job, man. I'm not gonna
I
dog on
think
you
I
too hard.
bombed.
Okay, you
I
might
think I
have
bombed.
bombed. You might have bombed on the stat lines, but I think you took the right player the majority of the time. So, good stuff. Good stuff. We'll be back with more of this later on. Thanks for joining us today, guys. We appreciate it. Make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, hit the bell notification. That way you'll see when we have new videos coming out, which we will. So, make sure you guys stick around. We appreciate you. If you have any comments, put them down in the comment section. Let's talk about some football. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Maybe tell us what kind of segments we should be doing. What do you enjoy? All that good stuff. And we respond to every comment. And I'd also like to start putting your guys' comments on the actual video. That way we can talk about it in depth. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.